Corporate funding for this program is provided by
Merrill Lynch, committed to creating wealth and value around the world. We believe that by listening to what matters most to our clients, Merrill Lynch can be an essential partner, helping turn their vision into reality.
This program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Tonight, direct from our nation's capital, it's the 11th annual Kennedy Center Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, celebrating the legacy of the great George Carlin with Richard Belzer, Louis Black, Margaret Cho, Fannie King, Dennis Leary, Bill Maher, Joan Rivers, Gary Shandling, Jon Stewart, and Lily Tomlin. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bill Maher.
Thank you very much. Good evening, donors, presenters, and other East Coast elites. What a great day to be an American again. We have a president who can speak English. Oh, my God. There's a subject and a predicate and a point. We have a point. Well, what can you say about George Carlin that hasn't already been argued before the Supreme Court? We will attempt to do justice tonight to the king of raw truth in a setting that requires us to work clean, because you know, if George were up here talking right now, PBS would be cutting to that bald guy who sells the tote bags. Now, here is what George Carlin said he wanted by way of a memorial. He said, quote, "It should be extremely informal." And so here we all are in dark suits at the Kennedy Center with lots of people who love golf. He also said he wanted some great R&B music and lots of laughs, and we're going to have that too. But just think of it, the Mark Twain Prize at the Kennedy Center. What an honor to be associated with men like Twain and Kennedy, especially for Joan Rivers, who knew them both. Speaker like George Carlin. They both gave speeches about hating all mankind to large and appreciative audiences. In fact, you could divide Twain's and Carlin's work into the same three stages. The early stage, some people suck. The middle stage, most people suck. And the late stage, you suck. And like Twain, George also was an author who wrote 4 incredibly funny, insightful books, all of which have been banned from the Wasilla Library. Oh, I kid Sarah Palin. And I wish her luck on her season of Rock of Love. But George Carlin was called America's class clown because he brought to the stage a gleeful sense of rebellion against authority. Class clowns are the kids who entertain us by acting out and ridiculing and generally blowing the cover on the whole adult world. This, of course, was before Ritalin. Here's the album, Class Clown. It made me so want to be him, and it still does. And this one, here is the album, FM and AM. This is the album that showed me you can be born one thing, but will yourself to become something else, something you like better. This album made a big impression on me as a 15-year-old teenager because side 1, and this is the days when albums, side 1 and side 2, this album had so, oh. That's been in there since 1973. I'm so sorry. Boy, they had a lot of seeds back then, didn't they? Thank God they got rid of those, but that was the old straight-laced, skinny-tie Carlin, suit, short hair, and side 2, FM, was the new hippie Carlin. T-shirt, long hair, the kind of guy the fellow on side 1 wouldn't pick up hitchhiking, and much dirtier material. And that theme, that you could reinvent yourself, inspired me to believe that I could do things differently, that I could try something new, like sex with a partner. You know, even at the end, in his last HBO special earlier this year, I remember when I turned off the TV after watching it, I was like, damn, he is still the rabbit. And I don't know if anybody is ever going to catch him. Not in the terms and the currency I value the most, utter honesty. What a giant. What a lion. Thank you, George, for everything, even though I know you can't hear me. And thank you. You sound like a good group. And ladies and gentlemen, I want now to give you something very special. Jimmy Durante giving you George Carlin.
Folks, it's great to see new comedians come along, because if there's one thing the world can always use, you know, it's a smile. And this young fellow is one of the best. Ladies and gentlemen, George Carlin.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that you're aware of the fact that teenagers today are the most powerful group in the country. First of all, there are more of them than ever before, and teenagers are so much better organized today than they ever have been before. Many of them are armed. They even have their own radio stations, a coast-to-coast network of top 40 teenage good guys swinging, romping, stomping echo chamber stations, ones where all the disc jockeys sound alike. Hi there, it's me from 6 to 9. Hi there, it's me from 9 to 12. Hi there, it's me from 12 to 3. Hi there, it's me from 3 to 6. It's all the same guy. He's in a jar, right? Anytime you turn on your transistor, you just might hear something like the following. Hi there, kids. Welcome to the Willie West Show here on Wonderful Wino Radio. Wonderful Wino. Yeah, welcome to the Willie West Show here on a wonderful Wednesday with your winner spinner, Weird Willie West. Winging your way with 101 wild and woolly wedges of wax and quasi weggets to play on the radio. Right here on Wonderful Wino. 1750 on your dial, just above the police calls, kids. We got stacks and stacks of wax and wax. We got the pick to click, the ones to watch, the oldies but goodies and newies but gooies. We got the top 700 records here in the land of Wonderful Wino. Wonderful Wino. Here is a bulletin. Russia and the United States are at war. Missiles have been fired by both sides. Washington and Moscow are in flames. Details in 25 minutes, kids, on Action Central News. Here's another big one, kids, in the wonderful world of wino. This one's #1 and moving higher every week. Let's give a listen. Let's make some dedications first. We'll send it out for Big Al, Red, Louie, Spike, Choo Choo, Spanish Anna, Dirty Mary, Nick the Greek, Baby, Carlos, Junior, Pee Wee, Toots, Papo, Spot, Greasy Creep, Woozy, Mush, Ralph and Brucey. Here it is, kids. It's our pick to make you sick, Jenny. Jenny.
Okay, please welcome another huge George Carlin fan and a man who has earned legions of fans of his own, Jon Stewart.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an absolute honor to be here. I, like everyone else, discovered Class Clown when I was around 11 years old, and until my friends found it, I was the funniest kid. When I first heard him, he got me with 2 words: cheese tits. Cheese. Who would have thought to put those 2 words together? The man was clearly a genius. And I didn't realize till many years later that everything else that I was hearing on that album had another level of value. That was the brilliance to me of what George could bring. He would reel in 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds, great phrases like cheese. I just walked all the way, cheese. And then later on, I discovered on the same album there was a little bit about Muhammad Ali that had a whole other level of understanding about our society. Cheese was just bait.
I used to be this guy, or maybe this guy used to be me. I don't know. We were each other at one time. It wasn't long ago. I liked him, you know. He was really good. He was funny, and I had a lot of fun with him. He did some nice things for me, but it was like there was nothing behind him, you know. He was kind of just superficial, just the surface. It was all characters. I wasn't in there. I found out I wasn't in my own act after a while, and here I'd been doing it for 5 years. It was all characters. It was all other people that I remembered from my life, and composites of people.
People like this lady here, Congolia Breckenridge, a marvelous contestant on a quiz show. Pick a door. Oh, let me see. Monty. Oh, how many? What are the doors?
1, 2, and 3.
Oh, wow. What was that again?
1, 2, and 3.
Now that, if nothing else, is proof of the theory of evolution. George Carlin's transformation was amazing, and one of the reasons that I'm here today is I was fortunate enough to be asked to host 40 years in comedy, A Night with George Carlin. Now, the idea was that we were going to take this amazing comedian who'd been doing comedy for 40 years and had 2 heart attacks, and we were going to send him to Aspen, Colorado, the highest point in America where there's very little oxygen. And then we were going to bring in a heavy smoker from New York to interview him. So my job was to interview George, and I got the chance to get to know him a little bit beforehand. I flew out to California to meet him and to sit down with him and to talk with him. And I think that's where I learned the lesson about George Carlin and what he meant to comedy and what he was like as an artist. I didn't know what to expect. I went over to his office on Brentwood, and I sort of had this idea that I was going to watch the master create. You know, we were going to go there, and he'd be like, hey, man, let's go out to the desert. I'm going to take some peyote. I'm going to get in a yurt, and it's going to come to me. And I walked into his office, and it's just a computer and a desk. And this incredibly anti-establishment mind punched in every day and sat and worked. He cared enough about his comedy and about what he was doing that every day he punched the clock. This was a blue-collar guy. That was the main message that I took from him. So when we went out to Aspen, I was so excited. It was the Wheeler Opera House. About 4 stories up was where the stage was. So George and I both had our little oxygen tanks. They gave us both oxygen tanks. And so when I finally caught up to George on the 4th floor, he was just pacing back and forth, going over this routine that he had written about advertising. It was 3 minutes of just advertising phrases, just one after the other, over and over again. And he was just going back and forth, just rehearsing it. 40 years in comedy, and he was still choreographing and presenting it and drafting it and perfecting it. And it was the most inspiring thing I think I'd ever seen from a comedian. And I was trying to kind of talk to him right beforehand, and I said, hey man, no oxygen up here. I can't believe they built a city. And he just leaned in and he goes, I'm going to tell you something.
rich ass can survive anyway.
This is a little bit from the interview. When you were a kid growing up, you wanted to be Danny Kaye and Bob Hope. So how do you think this thing is working out so far, looking back?
Well, I knew I wanted to stand up and, you know, and be silly and have people say, isn't he cute? Isn't he cute and clever? And that's all it was a reward, a psychic reward, you know, when you're a kid and you find out that you can get the attention of adults and approval and a little bit of respect, and you just hunger for it, you keep going back for it. And I have, fortunately, genetic, you know, my little toolkit, my genetic toolkit I was given included a mother and father who were very funny people, could do accents and dialects and tell funny stories about what happened on the bus that morning and have a punchline. So you don't lick it off the rocks, they say in Ireland. So I thank my grandmother's milkman, actually. Which might have you never know where these things go.
No, you can tell. It's interesting, you know, as I watch you now and through all the years I listen to your albums and things, your fascination with language is so apparent. Watching you work is almost like watching a musician. You know, the way you weave words and use language for emphasis and all that. Was that always a fascination for you, even as a kid?
Well, to go backwards with the question, don't forget what we do is oratory. It's rhetoric. It's not just comedy, it's a form of rhetoric. And with rhetoric, you look and you listen for rhythms. You look for ways to sing at the same time you're talking and to go da-da-dun, 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 dun-dun, and dun, da-dun, dun, 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 da-da-dun, 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 da-da-dun. And it's just natural. My mother was very kind of controlling, wanted to control my life, and was heartbroken when I began with the dirty language and the awful stuff he says about business. She was an advertising executive secretary, loved the business world, thought it was just the finest thing that ever happened. And so when I went in that direction at first, very opposed, until one day we lived on the same street that I grew up, that I went to school in. I went to school on the same block I lived on, something like that. Corpus Christi School, and the nuns were great. It wasn't a typical Catholic school. It was an experimental progressive school that didn't have grades, didn't have any sort of corporal punishment. It was just very, very wonderful school. And the nuns, she would see the nuns in the street and they would say, oh, we saw George on the Tonight Show. And she, being a bit of an actress, she would say, oh, it's the awful language, sister, the awful language. And one of them said to her, no, you don't understand. He's using it for other purposes. He's not just doing it for that. It's kind of like part of what he does. Don't you understand? It's this and that and so forth. So she said, oh. And from that day on, she was okay with it because the church had approved it.
So glad I started dyeing my hair gray. Making myself look tired. It's really smart of me. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Mark Twain Prize winner, the amazing Lily Tomlin.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all a lot. It is great to be back here at the Kennedy Center after 3 times on this show, which I have been. They make you an honorary Kennedy. I've always felt a kind of comedy kinship with George Carlin, and I think, flatter myself to think that we somehow drank from the same comedy fountain, or should I say inhaled, or perhaps I shouldn't. Before I even got started as a comedian, George already had a big career. He was doing his best to fit in with his skinny tie Vegas shtick. When I got my first job on the Gary Moore show, doing a barefoot tap dance. And amazingly, this was after Carol, much to my shock, they liked me and they cast me on the show as the girl. Well, I did not like it one bit, and I mean, how many times could I say, more coffee, sir? And after that, 3 weeks, they gave me the axe, and thank heaven, along came some new comedy shows called The Smothers Brothers and Laugh-In, and it was just a great time to be in comedy. The world was absolutely changing, and so was George Carlin. He said goodbye to all those glitzy gigs, and he said hello to a new world that where weird and good meant the same thing. And he played college campuses and coffee houses, and then he was there at the birth of this new thing called cable, and the rest is sort of history. I have always loved the short form of observation that George called his brain droppings. Let me just share a few with you. I'm not concerned about all hell breaking loose. My fear is that part of hell will break loose, and that'll be much harder to detect. You know, when you think about it, 12:15 p.m. is really 11:75 a.m. And you know what's fun is to go to a German restaurant and insist on using chopsticks. Dear George, you, sir, you were a deep thinker and a very, very funny man. And you know the expression, it's not what you say, it's how you say it? Well, it doesn't matter how good your material is if you can't sell it. And George's beautiful voice always closed the deal. Watch.
This is called advertising lullaby. Keeping in mind, of course, that the whole purpose of advertising is to lull you to sleep. Quality, value, style, service, selection, convenience, economy, savings, performance, experience, hospitality, low rates, friendly service, name brands, easy terms, affordable prices, money-back guarantee, free installation. Free admission, free appraisal, free alterations, free delivery, free estimates, free home trial, and free parking. No cash, no problem, no kidding. No fuss, no muss, no risk, no obligation, no red tape, no down payment, no entry fee, no hidden charges, no purchase necessary, no one will call on you, no payments or interest till September. But limited time only, though, so act now, order today, send no money, offer good while supplies last, 2 to a customer, each item sold separately, batteries not included, mileage may vary, all sales are final, allow 6 weeks for delivery, some items not available, some assembly required, some restrictions may apply. So come on in. Come on in. Come on in for a free demonstration and a free consultation with our friendly professional staff. Our experienced and knowledgeable sales representatives will help you make a selection that's just right for you and just right for your budget. And say, don't forget to pick up your free gift, a classic, deluxe, custom, designer, luxury, prestige, high-quality, premium, select, gourmet pocket pencil sharpener. Yours for the asking, no purchase necessary. It's our way of saying thank you. And if you act now, we'll include an extra added free complimentary bonus gift, a classic, deluxe, custom, designer, luxury, prestige, high-quality, premium, select, gourmet, combination key ring, magnifying glass, and garden hose in a genuine imitation leather-style carrying case with authentic vinyl trim. Yours for the asking, no purchase necessary. It's our way of saying thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gary Shandling.
Thank you. Thank you. A real pleasure for me to be here tonight. I would like to address very personally how George affected my life. When I was 18 years old, I grew up in Tucson, Arizona. And there's no comedy in Tucson. There's no comedy clubs. There are no Jews. I was the only Jew. Bill Ayers was at my bar mitzvah. I don't know what he was doing there. I don't know how he got in. I had nothing to do with him. I haven't seen him since. I'm an electrical engineering major at the University of Arizona, or as we called it, the Harvard of Tucson. And I decided I want to take a shot at comedy writing because I don't like engineering, and and I was kind of funny in school. So I thought, well, maybe I can put these two together somehow. And so I would sit in class, and I wrote 3 George Carlin routines. This would have been when I was 18 and a half, 19, somewhere in there. didn't know how to meet George, saw in the newspaper that he was appearing at a jazz club in Phoenix, which is a 2-hour drive. I got to the show an hour early, not knowing any better, and luckily I did the right thing, and I walked into the club, and I said, I'm looking for Mr. Carlin. Is he around? And they said, well, he's sitting over there by the bar. And I walked up to him with a wad of material, and I said, Mr. Carlin, my name's Gary Shandling, and I go to the University of Arizona, and I wrote this material, and I was wondering if you'd look at it. And he said, well, I write my own stuff. And I said, I assumed soon. And he said, but if you'd like me to read it and tell you what I think, I will. He said, come back tomorrow night. I'll have read it. And I thought, well, sure. He did. And now I got to drive 2 hours back to Tucson. So I took the chance. I drove back 2 hours, drove back 2 hours the next night. And he sees me. He says, come on backstage. And I go into the dressing room backstage of this kind of dingy club, and there is my material on the table. George sits down, and he gives me notes. He gives me notes for 20 minutes. I'm a kid from Tucson, Arizona, and George Carlin sits down and gives me notes. Do you understand that that changes your life? And you cut to about 12 years later, and George is receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. And I was asked to present that award because the family knew about the story, and it's a really true story. And so I got on stage like I have tonight, and I've told the whole story. I made it longer. And I did the whole story, and George walked up, and I gave George the award, and this was my first moment with him, you know, that way. And he looked at it, and he turned to the audience, and he said, first of all, I'm sorry for encouraging Gary to pursue his career. He's been nothing but a pain in the ass ever since. And that speaks to the heart of the man, and unfortunately the part that gave out. So we miss him dearly, and I miss him, as you can imagine, because of that. About 5 years later, Saturday Night Live started. So we want you to look at a tape of George, because George, a lot of people don't remember, was the first host of Saturday Night Live when Lorne Michaels was looking for a host. Let's take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, George Carlin.
Talking about a live show. Wow. Nice to see you. Welcome, and thanks for joining us live. I'm kind of glad that we're on at night so that we're not competing with all the football and baseball games. So many, man. All the time. And this is the time of year when there's both, you know? Football's kind of nice. They changed it a little bit. They moved the hash marks in. Guys found them and smoked them anyway. But you know, football wants to be the national, or the #1 sport, national pastime. And I think it already is, really, because football represents something we are. We are Europe Junior. When you get right down to it, we're Europe Junior. We play the Europe game. What was the Europe game? Let's take their land away from them. You'll be the pink on the map, we'll be the blue, and they'll be the green. Ground acquisition, and that's what football is. Football is a ground acquisition game. You knock the crap out of 11 guys and take their land away from them. Of course, we only do it 10 yards at a time. That's the way we did it with the Indians, one by little by little. First down in Ohio, Midwest to go. I think it's not surprising that football buys and try. Let's put it this way. There are things about the words surrounding football and baseball which give it all away. Football is technological. Baseball is pastoral. Football is played in a stadium. Baseball is played in a park. In football, you wear a helmet. In baseball, you wear a cap. Football is played on an enclosed, rectangular grid, and every one of them is the same size. Baseball is played on an ever-widening angle. It reaches to infinity, and every park is different. Football is rigidly timed. Baseball has no time limit. We don't know when it's going to end. We might even have extra innings. In football, you get a penalty. In baseball, you make an error. Whoops. The object in football is to march downfield and penetrate enemy territory and get into the end zone. In baseball, the object is to go home. I'm going home. And in football, they have the clip, the hit, the block, the tackle, the blitz, the bomb, the offense, and the defense. In baseball, they have the sacrifice.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Richard Belzer.
Mrs. Lincoln? Mr. Lincoln? You know what George wanted on his epitaph? It was, geez, he was here just a minute ago. George Carlin is in the rarefied pantheon of the few, too few, really, truly great stand-up comedians. Along with Mort Saul, Lenny Bruce, Dick Gregory, and Richard Pryor, George Carlin embodied the Swiftian, Twainish, culturally astute rapier wit and wisdom that every era needs. The love of language, the horror, ecstasy, and sublime ridiculousness of human behavior, along with the sensibility to synthesize psychology and sociology into the unique poetry of joke-telling, is the very recipe for comic greatness. George Carlin was ahead of his time in many ways. He was such a visionary that about 40 years ago, he did a parody of a show that was yet to be created, America's Most Wanted. Here's a clip of George Carlin's The FBI's Most Wanted, including an ad for the Justice Department.
Hi there, Mom. Have your civil rights been violated today? Has some corporate monopoly closed down another small merchant in your neighborhood? Has organized crime corrupted another public official in your community? Well, we'll worry about the small stuff later on. Right now, let's talk about important things, like the commie agitators in our kindergartens. Don't let your child's Christmas pageant be taken over by atheist pinkos. Insist on a nativity scene. Remember, for antitrust or commie bust, the department that's just is really a must. Don't leave your family defenseless. And now, here's J. Edgar.
That was harmless enough, right? Wrong. Dun, 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 dun. Through the courtesy of the Freedom of Information Act, and we're not making this up, ladies and jaywalkers, I have in my hand George's FBI file, in which our lauded Justice Department does everything in its power to protect us from the likes of George Carlin. A protest letter found its way to the desk of J. Edgar Hoover and, of course, Clyde Tolson. If you don't know who Clyde Tolson is, ask your hairdresser. And in an internal memo, FBI agent wrote, and I'll just quote it, you can read it along with me. In his performance, Carlin had a speech therapist who taught, no, I'm sorry. In his performance, Carlin referred to the Bureau and the director in a satirical vein. His treatment was considered to be in very poor taste, and it was obvious that he was using the prestige of the Bureau and Mr. Hoover to enhance his performance. As an example, he commented on one occasion, "I'm J. Edgar Hoover. I've just come back from a stakeout with Ramsey Clark. That is, a cookout in the backyard." That's pretty radical, subversive stuff, don't you think, ladies and gentlemen? As you can see, George's love of language got him in trouble a few times, but who cares? His books sold in the millions, among them, as Lily mentioned, Brain Droppings and Napalm and Silly Putty, and I'm sure that Christian Wright's favorite book of all time, When will Jesus bring the pork chops? George's great gift was his precision. Like Mark Twain, who also couldn't be here tonight, Twain said the difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. Thank you, Kelly. That's Kelly's favorite quote. Here's a prime example of George's take on the use and abuse of our precious English language. Observe.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse. I'll give you an example of that. There's a condition in combat, most people know about it. It's when a fighting person's nervous system has been stressed to its absolute peak and maximum, can't take any more input. The nervous system has either snapped or is about to snap. In the First World War, that condition was called shell shock. Simple, honest, direct language, 2 syllables, shell shock. Almost sounds like the guns themselves. That was 70 years ago. Then a whole generation went by, and the Second World War came along, and the very same combat condition was called battle fatigue. 4 syllables now. Takes a little longer to say. Doesn't seem to hurt as much. Fatigue is a nicer word than shock. Shell shock. Battle fatigue. Then we had the war in Korea, 1950. Madison Avenue was riding high by that time, and the very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. Hey, we're up to 8 syllables now. And the humanity has been squeezed completely out of the phrase. It's totally sterile now. Operational exhaustion. Sounds like something that might happen to your car. Then, of course, came the war in Vietnam, which has only been over for about 16 or 17 years. And thanks to the lies and deceit surrounding that war, I guess it's no surprise that the very same condition was called post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables, but we've added a hyphen. And the pain is completely buried under jargon. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll bet you if we'd have still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time. I'll bet you that. I'll bet you that.
Few people are always funny, but certainly one of the chosen people is our next presenter, the fabulous Joan Rivers, ladies and gentlemen.
I am so thrilled to be here because I'm the only one that didn't know George. I don't know why I'm here. Who the f was he? I don't know who he was. I don't know his work. I'll find out. Actually, of course, I knew George. I should read the. I can't read the teleprompter. Can I borrow somebody's? Do you have glasses? Sure, borrow. That's very kind. Thank you. Age. Walmart. It is. Do I look like a Jewish Ella Fitzgerald? Okay. Excuse me. I knew George very, very well, and I was thrilled when they asked me to come here today and speak about him. We met in the 1960s in Greenwich Village, and we always used to say, let's pinpoint the day, and we couldn't because he was high on acid, and I was just totally wasted. And but we met, and we used to play these terrible clubs. And then those are the kind of clubs, literally, where you didn't get paid. You passed the hat, and some nights the hat would come back with a severed head. Some nights it wouldn't come back. And all we wanted in those days, everybody wanted to be on The Tonight Show. The Tonight Show made you a star. There were 3 major networks, and that was it. Nowadays, there were 1,000 networks. So, I mean, tonight I was just flipping around. I mean, you see things like Amish wife swapping, stuff on that's stupid. All the CSI Bayonne, CSI. All we all wanted in those days was to be on the Carson Show. And I was around the first time George was on the Carson Show. And the trick was, if Carson liked you, when you did your stand-up, he would then take you over and sit you down on the couch. If he took you over and stood you up, you knew you were crap. But if he sat you down, and George was asked to sit down the first time, which is a big thing, and he sat down on that show over 100 times after that, and that was an amazing. You know, we've all been watching clips of George, and everyone knows how brilliant he is. I mean, on stage, but do any of you realize what a 6-minute shot on television, what you have to do? He honed every single word. He worked on jokes for years and years and years till he made them perfect, and then he took them and he worked on them some more. And then he would go on a couch and sit there and make it look like he just thought of it. I mean, that is so important. Now, at the start of this thing, they said, and I thank you for your glasses, by the way. At the start of this thing, they asked me to say a couple of words about George, and I kept thinking, that is so unfair. You cannot sum George Carlin up in 2 words. Give me at least 7. And please watch with me. Watch George's first appearance that I was privileged to be a friend of his and know him then. First appearance on The Tonight Show, and he did the hippy-dippy weatherman, which is so amazing. And just watch. He never missed. Do you understand? He never missed. Incredible. I thank you all so much. I'm thrilled to be here, and I thank you for these. Come and get them. George Carlin.
And now with the latest in weather, here's Al Sleep, your hippy-dippy weatherman. Hey, baby, what's happening? Al Sleep here, and I imagine some of you were a little surprised at the weather over the weekend, especially if you watched my show Friday night, man. I'd like to apologize for the weather, especially to the former residents of Rogers, Oklahoma. Caught them napping. First of all, the pollen count from Long Island Jewish Hospital. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you'll take a look at our weather map, which cats have moved over here, you see that we got a warm front which extends from Natchez to Mobile, from Memphis to St. Joe. Up in the big time. See me some bad cat. Shop, shop, up to the Take a quick look at the radar. I see the radar tonight is picking up a line of thunder showers which extends from a point 9 miles south-southeast of Chester, Pennsylvania, along a line, and 6 miles either side of a line, to a point 8 miles north-northeast of Secaucus, New Jersey. However, the radar is also picking up a squadron of Russian ICBM, so I wouldn't sweat the thunder showers.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dennis Leary.
Come on, baby, and rescue me. Come on, baby, and rescue me.
Good evening, how are you? Great. First time I met George, I was working in a comedy club as a door guy. That's how poor I was, okay? Wasn't even working the stage. And I'm working the door one night, and in walks George Carlin. But nobody knows that but me and the bartender, because everybody's facing the stage, and of course the comedian on stage has the spotlight in his eyes. It's George Carlin. This is in the days, by the way, when you could smoke. So I'm smoking. He sits over there, and I'm kind of sneaking looks at him, and he calls me over. And I walk over, and he goes, can I bum a cigarette? I go, sure. Give him a cigarette, he lights up, and I walk away. George Carlin's smoking one of my cigarettes. A few minutes later, he goes, hey. I walk over, says, you got another cigarette? I go, yeah. Give him another one, light it up, walk away. This happens about 6 more times. In between me and George is a cigarette machine. By the time we got to the 8th cigarette, I said, hey, George, you know, there's a cigarette machine right there. He goes, yeah, you might want to buy a pack. We're going to need them. Anyways, back in 1972, I was a altar boy at St. Peter's Parish in Worcester, Massachusetts. And I was pretty much good at 2 things, pissing off nuns and pissing off priests. I had no idea what I was going to do for a living. But thank God the Catholic Church, once a month in the bulletin, would put a list of the banned books and records, and the recommended books and records, which, by the way, for us in those days was like a what's hot and what's not list. So one Sunday, the paperback version of The Godfather was listed under the books that were not to be read by Catholics, and Class Clown, which was one of the things I was vying to be in my school at the time. And they specifically said the 7 words you can't say on television. There were 4 altar boys. We pooled our money, left the church after Mass, went to the record store, bought the record, went to this kid's house whose parents were away, and listened right away to the 7 words you can't say on television. It was at that moment that I became an ex-Catholic, ladies and gentlemen. That was when I realized you could make money for saying stuff my dad used to say when the car wouldn't start. And you know, we are still battling that issue in the Supreme Court. Almost 40 years later. That controversy is still alive. The 7 dirty words are still being argued before the Supreme Court as we speak. For instance, take the F word. You can't use it in reference to a sexual act, but if you use it as what the law calls a passing expletive, you can conceivably get away with it. Sister Rosemary Sullivan at St. Peter's High School would have been so proud of me for explaining that particular distinction this evening. But no one can explain it better than the master himself, Pope George I, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, what are these words that I'm talking about? They're just words that we've decided, sort of decided, not to use all the time. That's about the only thing you can really say about them for sure. That they're just some words, not many either, just a few, that we've decided, well, we won't use them all the time. Sometimes, well, hell yeah. Sometimes it's okay, but not all the time. And they're the only words that seem to have that restriction. I mean, there are a lot of words you can say whenever you want, you know. Pneumonia! Nobody gives you a lot of... All right, you can't yell it in the hospital a great deal, but what the hell? There are words that you can say, no problem. Topography! No one has ever gone to jail for screaming topography. But there are some words that you can go to jail for. There are some words that we just have decided we will not say all the time. Sometimes, okay. If you're running through the jungle, chasing somebody that we're at war with, you can holler them. If you're shooting a criminal, it's okay. It's the all-American thing. Dirty crook. But if you're with the bishop's wife at lunch, it's better not to ask for the damn lettuce. You know what I mean? It's just like we've decided there'll be some words we won't say all the time. And I was just trying to find out which words they were. For sure, all of them. I wanted a list. Because nobody gives you a list. That's the problem. They don't give you a list. Wouldn't you think it'd be normal if they didn't want you to say something to tell you what it is? Nobody even tells you when you're a kid what the words are that you're supposed to avoid. You have to say them to find out which ones they are. Yeah, you never know what's going to be on the list. Because it's always somebody else's list. You didn't make that up. Somebody told you that. They told you, better not say that. So you gotta, and you don't know what's gonna be on their list. God, people's lists even change from day to day. Some people on Friday night got a list, you know, not about 2 or 3 words. Sunday morning, damn, there's 27 words on it. These are the same people 2 days later, different list. So you gotta kind of watch out what you're gonna believe from them. The trouble is, I was trying to find out what these words might be. And I wanted to know the ones that you could never say on television. I mean the filthy words that are always filthy. There are a lot of these little two-way, double entendre words that have two meanings, words that are okay part of the time. I call them like part-time filth. Some of these words, they're only 50% dirty. You have words like ass. Ass is hardly even a dirty word anymore, but it has a few meanings that you can't say on television. That's what I was talking about. What can you say on television? That's another one of those places where we can't use these words all the time. But some of them are all right some of the time. Ass is all right on television. You can say on television things like, well, you've made a perfect ass of yourself tonight. But you can't say, hey, let's go get some ass. Bitch. Bitch is another word like that. Same kind of word. It's only dirty part of the time. Depends on what you mean by bitch. You might be the lady from the San Diego Zoo visiting one of the Tonight shows, and you might just have a bunch of little canines with you there. One of them is a female. You say, there's the bitch, Johnny, and it's okay, fine. Just don't refer to the singer the same way. That's all. Is that bitch going to do another number? Yes. Animals are fine on those two-way words, and that's it. That's what I was trying to find. The words that were always dirty, not just part of the time, but completely filth. Well, in looking for these words, I kept finding new categories. We have so many ways of describing these dirty words. Well, we have more ways to describe dirty words than we actually have dirty words. That seems a little strange to me. It seems to indicate that somebody was awfully interested in these words. They kept referring to them. They called them bad words, dirty, filthy, foul, vile, vulgar, coarse, in poor taste, unseemly, street talk, gutter talk, locker room language, barracks talk, bawdy, naughty, saucy, raunchy, rude, crude, lewd, lascivious, indecent, profane, obscene, blue, off-color, risque, suggestive, cursing, cussing, swearing, and all I could think of was motherfucker and
That's all I had. Evidently, George Carlin is the man who banned the 7 words you can't say on television. A brave move, which brings us to tonight's word. The 1970s were a disgusting time. Everyone's hair was long and greasy. People streaked naked on their way to the next wife swapping, and an innocent president was publicly vilified simply for violating the Constitution. But evidently, the 70s were cleaned up by a nice young man named George Carlin. Before Mr. Carlin famously banned those words, TV was a cesspool of foul language. Of course, we all remember when Walter Cronkite said the OPEC oil embargo was, quote, something that sucked. But thanks to George Carlin, a fearless warrior in the fight for censorship, there are 7 words you will never hear on TV. Instead, if TV must deal with unpleasant subjects, they have to use nice substitutes for each word, like poop, tinkle, intercourse, cho-cho, oral enthusiast, father, and, let's say dodgeballs. Thank you, George Carlin. Thank you. Few people have done more to repress what other people can say. And most of the other ones are Vladimir Putin. So, folks, let us all continue his work. There are so many other words that I don't want to hear anymore, like anti-authoritarian, questioning, rule-breaking, and Chipotle. It's just spicy mayonnaise. So here's to the heroic, repressive spirit of George Carlin. And that...
Stephen?
What is it, Jimmy? I'm doing the word.
George Carlin was a comedian.
He didn't ban those words. He used them to point out the ridiculousness of banning words in the first place.
Seriously?
Yes.
You
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Louis Black.
I hadn't seen that clip previously, and that they bleeped it is really, I mean, seriously. But to bleep it over TV, I kind of get. But here, in front of a room filled with adults, I was going to try not to be irritated tonight. I'm going to always be indebted to George Carlin, just for the laughs alone. And as I grew up, he's the person who made it easier for me to deal with the insanity around me. I always felt that inherent in every laugh George shared was he was saying, hey, you're not crazy. They are. As a comic, he was a role model. His work gave me a direction and something to aspire to. There are many who entertain, but there are few who entertain by challenging us. He served as a reminder that I could say whatever I wanted on stage as long as it was funny. And I could use bad words because there weren't any bad words. He encouraged me while I was wondering if I was ever going to make it as a comic and what making it actually meant. He called me at my home and left a message that began, "Hi, this is George Carlin. First, let me say there is nothing I can do for your career." As far as I was concerned, the fact that George Carlin, whom I never met, called me at home made my career. I played his message for my mother over and over and over, and that shut her up. George's mastery of the English language was stunning. There are few, let alone comics, who use the language with such exquisite precision as he did. He raised the level of our craft, and by being so meticulous, he made us laugh while raising our consciousness. He was funny. God, I want to say that word, that F word that goes so well with funny. But I can't say that really bad word, certainly not on a show honoring George Carlin. No way. Because if I said that word, the tenuous fabric that holds our society together would be ripped asunder. Oh no! He said that horrible word! I can't take it! Millions would commit suicide, bashing their heads through their TV screens. Young boys and girls would be forever rendered mute. Drenched in the shame of it all, the sun would never rise again. F it, George. Without your presence among us, the world is a less funny place, which really sucks. George cast a cold, hard eye on the world around him and drew humor out of subjects that few attempt to make light of. Like death, for instance. Take it away, Mr. Carlin.
Some of the people I really admire and are not seen enough, I think, on television are Lily Tomlin, Richie Pryor, David Steinberg. Well, this next one, George Carlin, I'd like to see a lot because he's really creative and really unique and toggles your brain. He's number 4 on my list and moving up. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. George Carlin.
Do you ever look at the crowds in old movies and wonder if they're dead yet? I do that. I think about death. I dare to think about death. I think comedian has to think about death. Nobody wants to come out here and die. Of course, if you don't die, if you do well, if you make them laugh, then you can say, you killed them. So it's one or the other. Either I die or I kill you. I didn't die, I killed them. So I'm involved in death, and I think we should think about it. Death is inevitable, for one thing. It's one of the fairest things we have. Everybody gets it once. And I think that when you die, you should die big. I don't think you should just pass away. Such a negative thing. Die big, die in style. Take advantage of the moment of death to teach and entertain. Like I say, go out in style. Now, the only reason I imply that you have a choice about how to go out is a very little known and misunderstood portion of death called the 2-minute warning. Everyone receives an audible signal 2 minutes before they die, right in the ear. 2 minutes, death coming, make plans. And the reason we never hear about it is because the only people that get it die 2 minutes later. They don't have time to explain it to you. And actually, you wouldn't believe it. No one believes it. I mean, would you believe a guy on the bus who says, hey, I just got my 2-minute warning? I think it was some football coach out on the town. By the way, there is one exception to the 2-minute warning. We people in theater, those in show business, we do get 5 minutes. 5 minutes, Mr. Carlin. And I say you can use the time to really go out in style. Let's say a speech. How about a speech? You get your 2-minute warning. Use the 2 minutes. Deliver a 1 minute and 50-second speech on the subject of your choice. Just wail something you really enjoy, something you're into, and espouse it fervently and really build up to a great crescendo and then say, and if this is not the truth, may God strike me dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Margaret Cho.
When I first saw George do A Place for My Stuff, it changed my life. I was just a kid, and it impressed me so much, it made me want to be a comedian. And it made me realize that I could do it. I'm not sure what it was, but I think there was like this mathematical precision to it, and that's what I connected with, the math part. So here is the master himself from Comic Relief, 1986. Take it away, George.
Listen, I would have been out here a little bit sooner, but they gave me the wrong dressing room, and I couldn't find any place to put my stuff. And I don't know how you are, but I need a place to put my stuff. So that's what I've been doing back there, just trying to find a place for my stuff. You know how important that is. That's the whole meaning of life, isn't it? Trying to find a place for your stuff. That's all your house is. Your house is just a place for your stuff. If you didn't have so much damn stuff, you wouldn't need a house. You could just walk around all the time. That's all your house is. It's a pile of stuff with a cover on it. You see that when you take off in an airplane and you look down and you see everybody's got a little pile of stuff. Everybody's got their own pile of stuff. And when you leave your stuff, you gotta lock it up. Wouldn't want somebody to come by and take some of your stuff. They always take the good stuff. They don't bother with that crap you're saving. Ain't nobody interested in your 4th grade arithmetic papers. They're looking for the good stuff. That's all your house is. It's a place to keep your stuff while you go out and get more stuff. Now, sometimes you've got to move. You got to get a bigger house. Why? Too much stuff. You've got to move all your stuff. And maybe put some of your stuff in storage. Now imagine that. There's a whole industry based on keeping an eye on your stuff. Enough about your stuff. Let's talk about other people's stuff. Did you ever notice when you go to somebody else's house, you never quite feel 100% at home? You know why? No room for your stuff. Somebody else's stuff is all over the place. And what awful stuff it is. Where did they get this stuff? And if you have to stay overnight at someone's house, you know, unexpectedly, and they give you a little room to sleep in that they don't use that often, someone died in it 11 years ago,
And they haven't moved any of his stuff. Or wherever they give you to sleep, usually right near the bed, there's a dresser, and there's never any room on the dresser for your stuff. Someone else's is on the dresser. Have you noticed that their stuff is and your is stuff? Get that off of there. Now, sometimes you go on vacation, you gotta bring some of your stuff with you. You can't bring all your stuff. Just the stuff you really like. The stuff that fits you well that month. Let's say you're gonna go to Honolulu. You're gonna go all the way to Honolulu. You gotta take 2 big bags of stuff. Plus your carry-on stuff, plus the stuff in your pocket. You get all the way to Honolulu and you get in your hotel room and you start to put away your stuff. That's the first thing you do in a hotel room is put away your stuff. I'll put some stuff in here, put some stuff down there. Here's another place, some stuff here. I'll put some stuff over there. You put your stuff over there. I'll put my stuff over here. Here's another place, some stuff. Hey, we got more places than we've got stuff. We're gonna have to buy more stuff.
Although I've known that routine for 25 years, I never thought there was a real place where George actually kept real stuff. But there is. There's a sacred comedy ground, a 10 by 20 storage unit in West LA, and this cutout, pre-hippie George, is from there, and all these signs, all relating to showbiz, things that he boosted whenever he was on the road. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's family photos, lots of pictures from New York when he was a kid, all of the scripts from his specials, bound in leather, notes from his routines, notebooks of observations, thousands of books and records. This guy never threw anything out. He had a huge music collection. How about this? Ed Sanders, Beer Cans on the Moon. And this, The Communists Are Coming to Kill Us, by John Truby and the Ugly Janitors of America. And then this, demure damsel is Brooklyn stripper Tammy Temptation and her terrific terrier. Now, if you're a book lover, and certainly George was Mr. Language, who wouldn't want to be without the timeless skin flutes and velvet gloves? Hey, the skin flute. I play that. Actually, I was a child prodigy. And we have a real Irish shillelagh, which is like nunchucks for white people. And then this, which is my favorite. I don't know if you can see it. I thought it said, "Gone fisting." So that's a little bit of George's real life stuff. And for me, it is really like seeing comedy come alive. Thanks, George, for all your stuff.
In 1954, Marvin and Johnny had this. It was the other side of Tick Tock. Tick Tock was the chart tune, and this was the one we danced to, Cherry Pie. And I'm gonna just do it for you. You know what I mean?
Cherry pie, cherry pie, cherry pie, ooh, so good. Oh, baby, dip, 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 ooh. Sugar pie, sugar, sugar plum, sugar, sugar plum, sweet as they are. Like little Jack Horner, just sitting in that corner, though he was eating his cherry pie. Only I didn't put it in a thumb and then pull out a plum. guess I'm not as great as he. Well, give me some. Give me some. Give me some cherry pie. Oh, baby, cherry pie. Oh, baby, cherry pie. Oh, baby, cherry pie.
Once again, the creator and star of Religulous, Bill Maher.
Thank you. I get it. That's very funny. You know, a long time ago, I used to do a joke in my act, and the joke was, suicide is our way of saying to God, you can't fire me, I quit. Pretty good. But George Carlin inspired me to do a more honest kind of joke about religion, one that didn't even pretend that they were personal gods with suspiciously human characteristics. Jokes that didn't apologize for being rational. Jokes that said, I'm not the crazy one. The crazy people are the ones who think Jesus gave pony rides on dinosaurs. They're the crazy ones. George died at a hospital named after a saint, St. John's, in a town named after a saint, Santa Monica. I think he would have thought that was pretty funny.
The 10 Commandments. Here's my problem. Why are there 10? I'm going to show you how you could reduce the number of commandments and come up with a list that's a little more workable and logical. We're going to start with the first 3, and I'll use the Roman Catholic version because those are the ones I was taught as a little boy. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not have strange gods before me. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Thou shalt keep holy the Sabbath. Right off the bat, the first 3, pure bull. Sabbath day, Lord's name, strange gods. Spooky language. Spooky language. Designed to scare and control primitive people. In no way does superstitious nonsense like this apply to the lives of intelligent, civilized humans in the 21st century. You throw out the first 3 commandments, you're down to 7. Next, honor thy father and mother. Obedience, respect for authority. Just another name for controlling people. The truth is, obedience and respect should not be automatic. They should be earned. They should be based on the parent's performance. Parent's performance. All right? Some parents deserve respect. Most of them don't. Period. You're down to 6. Now, in the interest of logic, something religion is very uncomfortable with, we're going to jump around the list a little bit. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. Stealing and lying. Well, actually, these 2 both prohibit the same kind of behavior. Dishonesty, stealing, and lying. So you don't need 2 of them. Instead, you combine them and you call it thou shalt not be dishonest. And suddenly, you're down to 5. And as long as we're combining, I have 2 others that belong together. Thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Once again, these 2 prohibit the same kind of behavior, in this case, marital infidelity. The difference is coveting takes place in the mind, and I don't think you should outlaw fantasizing about someone else's wife. Otherwise, what's a guy going to think about when he's waxing his carrot? But marital fidelity is a good idea, so we're going to keep the idea and call this one, thou shalt not be unfaithful. And suddenly, we're down to 4. But when you think about it, honesty and fidelity are really part of the same overall value. So in truth, you could combine the 2 honesty commandments with the 2 fidelity commandments and give them simpler language, positive language instead of negative, and call the whole thing, thou shalt always be honest and faithful, and we're down to 3. Thou shalt, they're going away fast. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. This one is just plain stupid. Coveting your neighbor's goods is what keeps the economy going. All right? Your neighbor gets a vibrator that plays "O All Ye Faithful." You want to get one too. Coveting creates jobs. Leave it alone. You throw out coveting and you're down to two now. The big honesty and fidelity commandment, and the one we haven't talked about yet, thou shalt not kill. Murder. The fifth commandment. But when you think about it, religion has never really had a big problem with murder. Not really. More people have been killed in the name of God than for any other reason. All you have to do... All you have to do is look at Northern Ireland, the Middle East, Kashmir, the Inquisition, the Crusades, and the World Trade Center to see how seriously the religious folks take "thou shalt not kill." The more devout they are, the more they see murder as being negotiable. It's negotiable. You know? It depends. It depends. It depends on who's doing the killing and who's getting killed. So, with all of this in mind, I leave you with my revised list of the 2 commandments. Thou shalt always be honest and faithful to the provider of thy nookie. And thou shalt try real hard not to kill anyone, unless, of course, they pray to a different invisible man from the one you pray to. 2 is all you need. Moses could have carried him down the hill in his pocket. And if they had a list like that, I wouldn't mind those folks in Alabama putting it up on the courthouse wall. As long as they included one additional commandment, thou shalt keep thy religion to thyself. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, Stephen Schwartzman.
When George heard he was getting the Twain, he began to work on his acceptance speech. His daughter Kelly found some of his notes. Okay, I'm reading from George's notes here. It says, Twain event, underlined. And then, quote, Henry David Thoreau once said, beware of all enterprises that require new clothes. And now this is George talking. I must admit, this is the first time I've worn this suit. I was saving it for any possible court appearances. If it's true when they say Bob Dylan is the voice of a generation, George is truly its common conscience. In his own way, like Twain, underneath it, he's a moralist, as stern as the nuns in his catechism class. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Kennedy Center Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, the immortal George Carlin.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm a modern man, a man for the millennium. Digital and smoke-free. A diversified, multicultural, postmodern deconstructionist, politically, anatomically, and ecologically incorrect. I've been uplinked and downloaded, I've been inputted and outsourced. I know the upside of downsizing, I know the downside of upgrading. I'm a high-tech lowlife, a cutting-edge, state-of-the-art, bi-coastal multitasker, and I can give you a gigabyte in a nanosecond. I'm new wave, but I'm old school, and my inner child is outward bound. I'm a hot-wired, heat-seeking, warm-hearted, cool customer, voice-activated and biodegradable. I interface with my database is in cyberspace, so I'm interactive, I'm hyperactive, and from time to time, I'm radioactive. Behind the 8 ball, ahead of the curve, riding the wave, dodging the bullet, pushing the envelope. I'm on point, on task, on message, and off drugs. I got no need for coke and speed. I got no urge to binge and purge. I'm in the moment, on the edge, over the top, but under the radar. A high-concept, low-profile, medium-range ballistic missionary. A streetwise smart bomb. A Top Gun bottom feeder. I wear power ties, I tell power lies, I take power naps, I run victory laps. I'm a totally ongoing Bigfoot slam dunk rainmaker with a proactive outreach. A raging workaholic. A working rageaholic. Out of rehab and in denial. I got a personal trainer, a personal shopper, a personal assistant, and a personal agenda. You can't shut me up. You can't dumb me down, because I'm tireless and I'm wireless. I'm an alpha male on beta blockers. I'm a non-believer and an overachiever, laid back but fashion forward. Up front, down home, low rent, high maintenance. Supersized, long-lasting, high-definition, fast-acting, oven-ready, and built to last. I'm a hands-on, foot-loose, knee-jerk head case, prematurely post-traumatic, and I have a love child who sends me hate mail. But I'm feeling, I'm caring, I'm healing, I'm sharing. A supportive, bonding, nurturing primary caregiver. My output is down, but my income is up. I take a short position on the long bond, and my revenue stream has its own cash flow. I read junk mail, I eat junk food, I buy junk bonds, I watch trash sports. I'm gender-specific, capital-intensive, user-friendly, and lactose-intolerant. I like rough sex. I like rough sex. I like tough love. I use the F word in my email, and the software on my hard drive is hardcore, no soft porn. I bought a microwave at a mini mall. I bought a minivan at a mega store. I eat fast food in the slow lane. I'm toll-free, bite-sized, ready to wear, and I come in all sizes. A fully equipped, factory-authorized, hospital-tested, clinically proven, scientifically formulated medical miracle. I've been pre-washed, pre-cooked, preheated, pre-screened, pre-approved, pre-packaged, post-dated, freeze-dried, double-wrapped, vacuum-packed, and I have an unlimited broadband capacity. I'm a rude dude, but I'm the real deal. Lean and mean, cocked, locked, and ready to rock. Rough, tough, and hard to bluff. I take it slow, I go with the flow, I ride with the tide, I get glide in my stride. Driving and moving, sailing and spinning, jiving and grooving, wailing and winning. I don't snooze, so I don't lose. I keep the pedal to the metal and the rubber on the road. I party hardy, and lunchtime is crunch time. I'm hanging in, there ain't no doubt, and I'm hanging tough, over and out.
Just the most amazing mind that man had. Just amazing. Right now, let's give it up for one of George's all-time favorite songs by the wonderful Benny King.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, and no, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me.
To learn more about this year's recipient of the Kennedy Center's Mark Twain Prize, as well as more about the history of the award and its past recipients, you can find it at pbs.org.
By me, oh stand by me, oh stand.
Corporate funding for this program is provided by
Merrill Lynch, committed to creating wealth and value around the world. We believe that by listening to what matters most to our clients, Merrill Lynch can be an essential partner, helping turn their vision into reality.
This program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you.